evening to you, televiewers. In the second part of this newscast, we have as guest a senior barrister at law who is the president of the Reform Party. Good evening to you, Barrister Agbor Emmanuel. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on Talking Point.
Good evening, Mimi. Good evening, televiewers.
Thank you for your time. Barrister, you have made an outing recently calling for the government of Cameroon to provide explanations following recent happenings in the Lebialen division of the southwest region of Cameroon. What exactly was the content of the message that you are sending to the head of state?
Well, we have for some time now been seeing very disturbing images of our army, the Cameroon army, actively burning houses. You see their machine guns, see the soldiers in uniform burning houses, and then we have these images have been proved because somebody got the images of that village before and the images after, during the burning, and then after. You look at all of them, they're all displayed. You see that it is the same place. And in the front of all this, we've been seeing images from other areas. Newspapers have been writing persistently on the same topic, and the government has said nothing. So Reform Party decided to come out and ask our government, this is an election year, please. We want the government to tell the Cameroonian people, why should we be seeing this type of situation where our army that is supposed to protect life and property is being seen on videos burning houses that they were supposed to protect? And what does Cameroon gain from burning the houses of its citizens? So we ask the government to explain to us, because we don't understand.
The most recent outing by officials from the Defense Ministry indicated that the forces of law and order, they are not the ones behind the burnings and destruction of houses in the Anglophone parts of Cameroon.
The government has a spokesman, and I think, to the best of my knowledge, the self-proclaimed military spokesman ought to see the spokesman for the government, because the army is part of the Ministry of Defense, which is under the government. So I don't think that it is proper for us to have a spokesman for the government who is Mr. Iso Chiroma, and then some other person stands up to be talking for the army. The army is part or is under the Ministry of Defense, and the Ministry of Defense is represented when Mr. Chiroma talks. So we are asking the government to tell us, because they have always been saying there is no proof. But this time we are seeing the case of Lebialen, this Azi junction that was burnt. They cannot tell us that those were not Cameroonians, because the people can be identified. The shooting was very, very good. You could see the faces of the people. I mean, you cannot keep denying the evidence. The guns being used, the equipment being used is our equipment. They should not tell lies. They can tell us the reasons.
So, Barrister, what can be the impact of your request? What impact can your request have?
Many people have been doubting that our army is not burning houses. And you know, this is very damaging. You cannot have an army which is supposed to defend the nation indulging in this type of behavior, and then the minister will come and tell you they are acting professionally, with professionalism. So, if it is true that they are burning the houses, then they will have to pay a heavy price during the election, because the population cannot support a government that is authorizing the army to go burning people's houses.
And that's going to be threatening to you, who is looking forward to
we did not come out for nothing.
Presidential election.
In fact, we didn't come out for nothing, because when we go down to the field, people ask us, why is this happening, and you are saying nothing. It means that if you are also in power, you will do the same thing. So we have to come out and ask the government for explanation, because if I am president, I don't think I can authorize that type of thing.
But how can you be taking part in the election with the current state of affairs?
Well, we have to prepare ourselves for the election day and pray that something happens for the elections to go on, hitch-free. Because I have said it time without number, I have my doubts as to how these elections are going to take place.
But you are taking part in the election?
We are going ahead. We shall take part.
Okay, Barrister, looking at the recent happenings in the two Anglophone regions of Cameroon recently, things are rather moving from bad to worse. We saw the outing of the governor of the Northwest region of Cameroon has actually continued to ban the circulation of motorbikes in some localities in Momo division, but has actually lifted the ban rather in Kotunja division still of the Northwest region of Cameroon. What is your reaction as far as the decision is concerned?
Well, I think these administrators have to understand that the banning of the use of motorbikes is a boomerang that will always backfire and hurt the administration more than it will hurt the population, because in those rural areas there are no vehicles. The only means of transport is those bikes. So when you say people they shouldn't use bikes, you are subjecting the entire population to trekking over 30-40 kilometers, and that is not acceptable. So you see, most of these bike riders exercise this as a profession, and it is that profession that helps them to feed their families. You say they should not work. How are they going to get money to feed their families? So in the final analysis, it backfires on the person who made the order. And we ask the big question, what do we gain from that? When you say they should not use bikes, what do we gain? If it is decreed as a means of stopping the so-called secessionist fighters, we all know that if those people are coming, nobody stands there. So why ban an activity which you know has no impact on the problem?
When we saw the Minister of Territorial Administration recently preaching peace, especially with motorbike riders in the Northwest region.
Yeah, he went to Northwest and banned the use of motorbike, went to Kumba and distributed helmets. You see, that is a clear example of the contradiction. They themselves know that they should not ban motorbikes. They shouldn't ban the use of motorbikes. Why do they do it? It is not necessary. Let them address the root cause of the problem. I understand that it is reported that many secessionists use motorbikes, but why don't you solve the problem that has forced people to take to the bushes?
What is the root cause of the problem, and what's the solution, barrister, according to you?
The solution of the Anglophone crisis?
Of course.
I have said it time without number. As of today, I believe firmly that negotiations can no longer solve that problem. I believe that, because with what we are seeing, there are splinter groups all over the territory which are engaging our military in heavy gun battles. So do you think that if Mr. Ayub Tabe were to tell those people in the bushes that he doesn't know? Those people, he does not know them. Because when they created those things, he was rearrested. If you were to ask them to stop fighting, you think they will stop? I don't think so. The solution to me is a very simple one. The Anglophone crisis was sparked off because of a heap of grievances. The government should immediately decree the opening of the Limbe International Deep Sea Port, because Anglophones say that the territory has been abandoned by government that has persistently refused to develop it. There is no reason that the government gives for closing down all the airports. It is now they managed to put up Bamenda, but Bank was an international airport. Why was it closed? Let them reopen these airports, build the Limbe Deep Sea Port. Even if they're just decreeing that it will be built, that can be something. And then all the technical schools that we have this way that don't exist in the Anglophone region, they should also provide them, because for an Anglophone to become a technical student now, you must become a Francophone. That is not good, because the Anglophones are complaining that it is assimilation. The people don't want assimilation anymore. So this government should do everything to make sure that the Anglophones have the same opportunities as the Francophones. Now, after 57 years of two states coming together, it is time for an Anglophone presidency. I will say it again. It is time for Anglophones to have their chance at the presidency. So if any person thinks that they can solve this problem without giving Anglophones a chance at presidency, they have to go back to the drawing board.
One of the candidates, barrister.
I'm a very sure candidate.
Barrister, we are going to move right away to the strike of student lawyers in Cameroon that took a different twist this week in Yaoundé. They actually stormed the defense ministry, and they were surprised as usual by security forces. The justice ministry, rather. Thank you for that correction. And they were surprised by security forces. Now, the action that they actually undertook, is it the right thing to do?
As a lawyer, I don't have any authority to talk on behalf of the bar. But as a politician, I will say the young lawyers who missed the exam, the final the bar entrance exam, are very wrong to have carried out that type of movement. From what I heard them say over the television, they were incriminating the Bar Council for having mismanaged the exams. I want to say that the Bar Council organized no exam. They know very well the exams were convened and marked and proclaimed by the Minister of Justice. They were marked by a commission that was appointed by the Minister of Justice. They all know it. So why do they incriminate the Bar Council for nothing? It was not the Bar Council that managed the exams. It was a commission that was handpicked by the Minister of Justice.
But they are talking
then,
about
let's come to
the election, the examination in general. They are talking about the credibility.
That's what I'm saying.
The fact that students that were not qualified were actually admitted or retained.
I really beg to differ. You see, that exam was organized under a law that exists in this country. The minister respected the provisions of that law, which empowered him to organize the exam. I don't see why any person can say the exam was not credible. Now, it is not compulsory that every person who writes an exam must pass.
But the rate of failure was higher, barrister.
So you mean to say when many people fail at GCE, they should cancel the exam?
It discredits the
it doesn't.
exam as well.
It doesn't.
Like what we saw in the General Certificate of Education this year, barrister.
No, it doesn't. We are saying that these young lawyers ought to behave as lawyers. If what they want to attack is the exam, they know the exam was convened by a minister's order.
But they were at the Justice Ministry.
No, the minister's order is an administrative act. The publication of the exam was an administrative act. Why don't they follow the law and attack the thing first of all in front of the minister, then they go to the administrative court? A lawyer should not put on his robes and take to the streets to go present legal arguments. Legal arguments are presented before a court of law. I want these young men to learn that they have to start behaving as lawyers.
Barrister.
They have to start behaving as lawyers. They were going to the street. Taking to the street is not behaving as lawyers. They were behaving there at that particular time as hooligans, not lawyers.
Thank you so much, barrister. That's going to be a debate for another day. Well, thank you so much for coming tonight on.
You're welcome.